Good afternoon, guys. My name is Marsha, and this is my co-host Andre. And here we're on another episode of Overcomaz. Today we have the lovely Latrice, and we'd like her to introduce herself a bit to you guys. Thank
All right. Thanks, guys. I am Latrice Fowler. I am a writer, and I have been writing since 2015. I have been married for 25 years. We have four grown kids, and I have homeschooled three of them and graduated them. And I have, been on this right life journey, like I like to say, again for about 5 years. But I think the seed was planted a long time ago. So just nurturing the seed and bringing it to fruition. So that's who I am, and that's the journey I'm on now.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
you're welcome.
All right, so just to get started, just give us a brief idea of what it was like for you growing up.
What it was like for me growing up. My childhood for me is really choppy because I experienced some very traumatic things in my young life, and the earliest memory I can recall is about 6, and I was physically molested by my brother's father.
Wow.
And yeah, and I believe it started when I was 6. It could have, started younger than that, but I don't know. And throughout the time it happened, I would say between age 6 to, I want to say 11, on and off. So yeah, I had to really deal with it. There was a lot of things that was going on with me mentally and physically. I remember my grandmother would say I would have these um, sleepwalking spells,
Mm,
and they would only happen when I had like really high temperature fevers. And I guess her being old school, she kind of knew something was going on with me, but
mm,
I couldn't articulate that. I couldn't verbally say the words. um but I guess it came out physically in
mm,
my, in my appearance. So yeah, I had to I dealt with that, when I was younger, but I wouldn't deal with that emotionally and mentally until I got older.
mm,
And preferably when I got married and I had my son. I was 21 years old.
mm,
And I remember something triggered like this flood of memories that
mm,
came back. And it was like, I mean, a rush of just un- unfortunate events that I guess I suppressed for a very long time. And then kind of realized the path that I was going in my youth
mm,
because of that. And then he wasn't the only one. My brother's father wasn't the only one. We had an older next door neighbor who attacked me. We had an older cousin that lived down the street that attacked me. I
Wow.
had a few cousins that tried to do things. And
mm,
so I guess as a not just as a girl, but just me, a girl in my family, I felt like it just happened. That was just something that happened because no one talked
mm,
about it, and no one, asked any questions. Or even if I know I did mention it to my brother, which he was 4 years older than me, so what could he do?
mm,
But just being able to know I could tell somebody, and then later on realizing that, there were a couple of adults that were supposed to protect me who knew what was going on,
and
and
ignored
still
it.
and ignored it, and still allowed me to be in that environment. And that I think that part was a lot to get to wrap my brain around. Even when I became an adult, I really had to assess what these adults in my life, what they were going through in their lives, for them to be able to
Ignore.
not acknowledge it or ignore it, and
Made a
or
blind
just
eye.
sweep it under the rug. And I remember, as I was going through the process of trying to heal myself, because I didn't want to be a victim. I
Mm,
didn't want to carry that with me for the rest of my life. I was starting to like branch out and ask questions and kind of let people into my secret. And I remember a family member saying that, you know, my grandmother's generation, they were the generation who basically swept it under the rug and, you know, was like, you know, don't sit next to that person at Thanksgiving, or, you know, don't hang out with that person, or put some pants on, don't be, you know, walking around with shorts and things like that. So why, as family men, why do we do that? You know, so yeah, I had to really understand, but not validate their justification, but understand where they was coming from, and then make a decision that I was going to break that cycle, if not for my kids, but the next generation. I was not going to be that adult. And so I was a eagle type person, or type parent to my kids. We were always the house that, you know, kids were safe. And we were the party house. We were, yeah, y'all can come stay over here and we can, you know, do all these things, because I am watching. Y'all leave that door open, or, you know what I mean? I was that type of person. So yeah, I had to
So
I went through a lot.
so Latrice, did you do any like formal counseling or anything to cope and overcome those situations?
I did. It wasn't until, I want to say, I was maybe approaching 30, or right
Oh.
at like maybe 25, or 26-ish. I just knew that crying every day wasn't going to get me anywhere. Neglecting the kids and wanting to stay in the bed and, you know, sleep and just waddle away in my sorrow and, you know, woe is me and all those things. I didn't want to be the victim. So I was like, look, I'm slowly, you know, talking to people about it. I'm slowly letting people in. So I need to find an outlet, someone else that's not a relative or not a friend, someone who's not biased, or who is biased, who won't judge either way, but will give me some kind of direction that I can go in. And so I did. I sought after counselors, and then I looked for, because I couldn't afford, you know, psychiatrists and all those, because in my mind it was unattainable, because it was unaffordable. And so I searched like the community, and I found women's groups, and they were giving free counseling and things like that. So I went that route, and it was the best decision that I made. I cussed and fussed the whole way there when I first went, because I was like, I can't believe I'm getting ready to tell this person this stuff. And I mean, I was mad the whole drive there. And I think it for the first week, I cussed and fussed the whole time. But I think that was my way, or God's way of showing me what this first breakthrough was. And so, yeah, it really opened me up to talking about it. And it also showed me that it was a release. Like I was harboring all of these things for so many years, and now I can release it. And that's exactly what it felt like. It felt like a release.
So
Yeah.
I was just about to piggyback on what you just stated, but oftentimes, like, these things happen from generation to generation, and
Yeah.
parents, family, they tend to ignore the signs,
Yeah.
and in essence, that's what aids in 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 that
Yes.
cycle continuing. Because
Right.
if you don't acknowledge the issue, like, it will definitely continue, and then it will trickle down. Because
Right.
oftentimes, persons that go ahead and molest or rape, they
Mhm.
possibly experience something similar.
Mhm.
They have
Yep.
their own traumas. What I was going to ask you, you said that the women's group help you through counseling, etc. And you spoke about your kids giving you like an eye opener. What about
Mhm.
your marriage? How did your husband play a part in all of this?
Um, I feel like when anyone is I don't like to say the word victim, but victim of something like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the only victim. My husband was a victim. My kids were a victim. So he got the brunt of it because the issue of sex has always been the
Mm.
issue of sex. You know what I mean? And I just recently just because I'm always trying to research how to not see him in that same light, because
Mm.
like I said, I've been married for 25 years, but we've been together for 28. So for 28 years, I've known that he's not that person. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So it's all psychological for me and
Right.
all internal emotional for me as well. So for me, I'm always trying to figure out a way to get past that.
Mm.
And I told him, like, here recently, and I told him, I was like, you know what, I'm praying to God that I want to have the best sex of my life. And that's not in the comical sense. That's without worry. That's
Exactly.
Mm.
without anxiety. That's without looking at you and the way that you want to touch me or the way that you want to love me, and categorize what that is, what that moment is, and put it in those other moments of how I learned what sex was.
Ah,
And
I
that's not what
understand.
this is. So that's why I am verbally telling him this and verbally praying that this, from moving forward, our next chapter is going to be the best sex of our life, because I don't want to have to worry about it. I don't want to have to think, or my mind go somewhere when he touches me in a certain way, and it instantly
Trigger
triggers
something.
something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I don't want to live like that anymore. I highly doubt if those perpetrators are thinking about, what they've done, and it's deterring them from moving on in life. I don't want I don't want to, continue that cycle mentally for myself. So
Oh,
yeah.
so that's really good that you can acknowledge that you
Hmm.
also passed on some of your aggression and your anger onto your
Yes.
family, but you reconcile with that through counseling and being honest with them and sharing with them.
Yes.
Now, you explained how you overcame all of that. Now, you explained earlier that you're a writer. Did
Hmm.
you put in any of your, it did anything that affect you in the past, uh, motivate you into become a writer? What triggered that moment that made you say, I want to start writing?
Well, I think I've always loved words, and I've always been able to put words together to really inspire myself, and then inspire and encourage others. So I've always had that type of gift, if you will, or talent.
Mm-hmm.
But I when I was in high school, I didn't get the best grades. But I said, and I wasn't, on the road to college, or
Mm.
I come from a military background, but I wasn't, on that path either. But I did say in '93 that I was one day going to be a writer. I was going
Mm.
to, be an author and all these things. And so that's a long time ago. And I didn't pursue that until 2015. But I've
Mm.
always, in the back of my mind, knew that that
Always
was
do.
going to ultimately be my path. And I tell people, that was the seed that was planted. And now that I think, to be all honest, I think God was waiting for me to get past all of
Yeah,
those things
overcome
and
all those
work.
traumas.
Yes, I
Mm.
had to work on all of that stuff, because I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 12 years ago, 20 years ago, because I was in a very deep depression for over 20 years.
Wow.
And it was on and off, but the majority of it is when my kids were really little, and that was the impressionable stage for them. And that's who they grew up with, was a mother in a full on, deep rooted depression. And
Mm-hmm.
but I did do certain things. I mean, I think I woke up, every so often, like, okay, look, you're gonna have to pull yourself out of this, and do something different, and so I did little things along the way, but it still took a long time. And I'm gonna tell you something. Right before I turned 40 years old, I'm 46 now, so 6 years ago, right, it
Mhm.
was maybe 30, 39, or right, maybe a couple of, maybe 4 or 5 months before I turned 40. I promise you, I woke up and the light in that room, that beamed in my room, I swear to you, that was the awakening moment for me. I literally felt that darkness lift, and I
Mm-hmm.
knew it was time to move past that, and I was the happiest I've ever been, and I
Okay.
knew it was time for the next chapter. I literally felt that weight being lifted.
Mm-hmm. So a
Yeah.
new chapter in your life.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
for what would you recommend for other persons who's actually gone through similar situations, who are currently going through similar situations? Like, how would you express to them to actually get over the hump, or to actually share their story to ensure that something like that doesn't continue?
Right. I'm a Jesus girl, so I am always going to resort to prayer.
Hmm.
If that person is in a Jesus person as well, I think they need to start to pray, and also do little things. I mean, you have to ask yourself, do you want to be in this mindset,
Mm.
or do you want to progress from that? I had to literally ask myself, do you want to sit here and cry all day and sleep all day, and watch your kids go and fix themselves something to eat when they're 4 and 7, and I had to, and I literally did this. I'm like, and I was like, I can't be that mother.
Okay.
So I had to get up, and even if you don't have kids, you're worth it. You are worth taking the time to heal yourself. You are
Definitely.
worth going to talk to somebody, even if you got to cuss and fuss your way to that appointment. You're
Hmm.
still doing something to get your release. That is the ultimate thing. And I didn't believe people when they told me that when you talk things out,
Mm-hmm.
when you share things, you are releasing those things
Definitely.
to make
It
room for
helps.
more positive things. And I didn't believe until I did it, and I was like, okay, they were right. And it really makes a difference. And then it also opens you up to invite more advice in, and then it also matures you into maybe implementing that advice into your life, and that's what I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So definitely talking about it, praying about it, and just trying to just keep a positive mindset.
Yes.
This part.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Would you mind sharing with us your books, like just so we could get an idea of the titles and basically what they're about also?
Okay. My first book is called Mind Mess: The Back and Forth Breakdown of a Messy Mind. That book was my outlet when I was diving into the world of writing, and
Okay.
I was going through my own mental mind mess of self-doubt and limiting beliefs that I could be a writer. And I would write these journal entries, and it was like really bashing myself, like, I don't know who you think you are, why you think you can, write these books, and this is not for you. And so I had one, like I said, once you write it out or talk it out, or share it, it's a release. So it
Right.
released all of those negative things that I was mentally going through as I was conditioning myself as a writer, and it made room for more positive uh, affirmations in my life. The second book is Prayer Power: The Reconstruction of a Messy Mind Through the Mighty Power of Prayer. And that's
Mm.
how I combated all of those, all that mind mess I was going through. I reversed it and used the power of prayer to get past it.
Exactly.
The third book is called Homeless for the Holiday. That is a poetry book. We actually went through a very horrific event last year, and that is a poetry book of the feelings and the aggression and all the things that I was going through and couldn't talk about, and so I
Okay.
put it in poetry form, and that was my release from that. And then the fourth book is an affirmations book. It's called Self-Care Shots, Affirmations for a Prosperous Lifestyle of Abundance and Impact. And that was also written in the beginning of my writing career, because I was trying to, of course, release all of the negativity that was going on in my head, and trying to inject more positivity in my life. And so I personally wrote out affirmations that I wanted to repeat to myself every single day, and I tacked them up in my office, and when I got in there, I would read them out before I started anything. And then I was like, you know what, maybe I should turn this into a book. Maybe someone else needs
And
to
use those big words.
can use it. So I specifically wrote affirmations for spiritual affirmations, healthier lifestyle affirmations, mindset affirmations, because the mindset is the most is the ultimate thing you need to maintain, is that mindset. And then professional affirmations, because I was entering the world of writing, and I wanted to be able to take up my seat at the table when, I'm around other authors and publishers and editors, and know what they're talking about, and I can chime in, and I know what I'm talking about. So I had to inject that professional aspect as well. So that I did that, like I said, mainly in the beginning for me, but I also made it available for others to be able
True.
to do. Yeah. So.
Um, that was so amazing. I hope to one day read some of your books. I like the titles. And it seems that it meant something to you, or they mean something to you.
Yeah.
We just want to say thank you for sharing your story with us. It was very interesting. Like a lot of persons, we have things that we're going through in life, and we don't have outlets to talk about them. And this is why this program
Yes.
is very, very important. We just want to say thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, Marsha and Andrea. I do appreciate you guys. And yes, this platform is amazing.
Thank
I
you.
am so privileged to be here. So I do appreciate you. Thank you.
All right,
Alrighty
thank
then.
you. Okay, have a wonderful evening.
All right. You too, guys.